right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Batter's Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, and Restored Motions. Y'all go see girl Crystal Poche over at Restored Motions. If you have pain, she will bring you out of it, no matter what that pain is, chronic or otherwise. Just book a session. Trust me, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. All right, y'all, what you say? How about them Tigers? LSU beats Ole Miss, previously unbeaten and seventh ranked Ole Miss, 45-20. Almost as if someone could have seen that coming. What a win for LSU. We'll dive into all of it. Thanks to everybody who hung out for Whiskey and Wine last night. Had a great time. Thanks to everyone who came out to Whiskey and Wine at Don Juan. But certainly a statement win for LSU, for Brian Kelly in this era. Just massive. Jeremy Nusslock, what's going on, man? Good morning. Who's that? Gave a like before the stream started because it's going to be good. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let's delve into it, y'all. Tigers beat Ole Miss 45-20. Again, I was pretty adamant. I thought LSU would win the game. I felt like we knew more about the Tigers than we did about Ole Miss. How would Ole Miss respond when they got into a dogfight? What we saw. LSU again makes incredible defensive adjustments after getting behind 2 scores again. Harold Perkins, total monster. Even Lane Kiffin acknowledged as such after the game. And the game really changed defensively for LSU when Perkins went in. We'll talk about that here in just a second as well. But Jaden Daniels continues to build upon his performances week after week after week. And you can really see him get into a comfort zone. Really let it rip yesterday. Was accurate with the football. I'm not sure if you saw his final stat line, but he finished 21 of 28. So he completed 75% of his passes. And y'all, I mean, some of it was dink and dunk. Some of it was really nice throws. I mean, he made a throw to Kyron Lacey from the left hash to the right side line for an 11-yard gain. That was just a dart. He was willing to put the ball in traffic to let his receivers make plays. Wasn't perfect. Missed Kayshawn on a touchdown on the first drive. Missed Brian Thomas, who would have been a touchdown on the first drive, but they ended up getting PI. But the touchdown to Jure was a little underthrown, but again, he gave his receivers a chance. So awesome to see, man. Just a really great day. And LSU just harassed Jackson Dart after that first quarter. If you look defensively, LSU finished with 3 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 7 passes defended, and 6 quarterback hurries. They just were constantly on him, and they made his life miserable. Dart was 19 of 34 for 284, no touchdowns and a pick. So really brilliant job by the LSU defense. After the first quarter, where Ole Miss scored, boom, to go up 14-3. LSU limited them to 2 field goals in the second quarter, and that was it. They got shut out in the second half. So now when you look at it, LSU shut out Auburn in the second half. They shut out Ole Miss in the second half. They allowed just a field goal to Mississippi State in the second half. I would love it if this team could find a way to start. Florida State, that was the 7-3 game and a half. Florida State did score in the second half, but if this team could find a way to start a little quicker, they could really, really be trouble, more so even than they are now. But what a win, 45-20, LSU beats Ole Miss. So let's get into it. Craig Duga, Matt, you finally hit on I'm certain they'll win one this season. All right, let's get into it. YouTube, do me a favor. Please smash that like button. If you're new, and I know we'll have a lot of new people today, please subscribe up to the YouTube channel. Facebook, please like the page, the Matt Scone page, share the post. We'd appreciate it. Mark, good morning. Rodney Canale, good morning. Tyler Smith, Perkins is the best player of defense. I think you could make a very strong argument for that. The Ole Miss on its first possession scored in 5 plays to go up 7-0. Perkins was not on the field. LSU put together a really nice drive where they had 3 opportunities to score. The deep ball where they interfered to Brian Thomas would have been a touchdown if the ball had been a little deeper, but you got the PI. The second down play to Kayshawn when he was in the slot and was open on the right side and Jaden just overthrew him. And then the ball in the back of the end zone to Malik Neighbors where he got pushed out. I mean, you had 3 opportunities to score touchdowns and didn't do it. And then on the next Ole Miss possession when they're up 7-3, Greg Brooks got an interception, but they called PI on Mekhi Garner. You had you almost got the pick where Brooks couldn't. It went off Brooks' shoulder pad and then Sage Ryan laid out and couldn't get it. And then they had 4th and 2. They threw the deep ball. It was incomplete, but they called pass interference on B.J. Ojolari for grabbing the tight end. So right there, you had 3 plays offensively, 3 plays defensively that did not go your way. And you kind of felt like, man, is this going to be one of those types of days where the breaks don't go your way? But to LSU's credit, they responded, and on the next, and LSU missed a field goal on the next drive, by the way. So it's 14-3. You get the ball, you go down, you attempt a field goal, miss it. So it's 14-3, and you're like, oh God. And they get the ball back, and they go, they convert a 3rd and 4. Then they go Heath for 16 yards, Heath for 27 yards. Then they put in Harold Perkins, and that drive stalled out. You forced them to settle for a field goal at 17-3 on the first play of the second quarter, by the way. And all they would get the rest of the game is another field goal late in the second quarter. Harold Perkins was your second leading tackler in the game behind behind Micah Baskerville. Baskerville had 8, Perkins had 7. No, I'm sorry, Mekhi Wingo had 7, excuse me. Mekhi Wingo, forgive me. We got to talk about Mekhi Wingo too because he was awesome. Baskerville had 9, so these have been adjusted. Wingo with 7, Penn with 6, Fouché with 5, Perkins with 5. But he had a sack, a TFL, a pass defended, 2 quarterback hurries. So he fills up the stat sheet, man. Chris Domang, what's going on? Randy Dabdoob, Jaden was impressive on 3rd down. Yeah, let's see. On 3rd down, again, we talked about it last week, how good LSU was on 3rd down. Yesterday, LSU was 6 of 11 on 3rd down, so better than 50%, and you were 1 of 1 on 4th down. So really that becomes like 7 of 11 because you converted. So, yeah, man, they were really good. Shelby, why do we rush the field? I agree with you, Shelby. Some people say that I'm like that makes me like a get off my lawn type guy. I don't care. Like, there's a I was watching I saw this stat with Alabama. The last time Alabama went on the road and like lost a road game and the fans didn't rush the field, it was LSU in 2010. That's the last time. It's been more than a decade since Alabama lost a road game without the fans rushing the field. And it was LSU. And it's because the expectation is you win games like that. And fans rushing the field is embarrassing. Stay in the seats. You're way better than that. Tennessee hadn't won anything in 25 years. A&M hadn't won anything ever. So let them rush the field. Stay in your seats. Donovan Thibodeau, Chase Ellefson, One Nardi. Good morning, Gregory Gordy, Anthony Jackson, Wendell Norman. Let's see, Chase, got the same question for you as a couple weeks ago. What will it take for Jimbo to get fired this year? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, Chase. I think if this continues, next year becomes very much a year where he would be on the hot seat. But they signed, the number 1 class in the country, whatever. They've got him. They extended him. I mean, if they fire him, they owe him, $80 million or whatever it is, which they could pay. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. That loss last night was dreadful. To go on the road and lose to South Carolina is dreadful. Mac Daddy Doink. Start off by congratulating the offensive line. They've gotten better every week. That's true. Ole Miss, when you look at the most impressive part about that game, and there's a lot of superlatives, but I would say the most impressive part is that we went into this game wondering, okay, how does LSU stop Ole Miss's run? And I think what I told y'all is we've seen teams do it, and Ole Miss goes into long lulls, and I thought LSU would be able to because athletically they can run sideline to sideline, which they did, right? You saw it with Perkins, you saw it with Baskerville, you saw it with Fouché and Brooks. But really what happened too is LSU got up and Ole Miss had to throw, and then LSU just pinned its ears back and came after it. It was very similar to what Tennessee did to LSU. When Tennessee got up big and they knew LSU had to throw, their athletic front seven just came after Jaden Daniels and made it really tough. But Ole Miss ran it 37 times for 116 yards. They only had 3 runs longer than 10 yards the whole game. LSU limited the big play on the ground, and the converse was LSU ran it 48 times for 252. When you can just line up and run the ball and everybody knows you're going to run the ball and they can't stop it, that's what LSU did to Mississippi State. That's what LSU did in the second half against Auburn. That's what LSU did yesterday against Ole Miss. And it is really impressive that this offensive line has become that physical, and especially without a true, ace back. And I don't mean that in any way to be disrespectful to Josh Williams, because I think he has been fantastic this year. Better, I will 100% own that. I didn't want Josh Williams getting touches because I know there's a ceiling there. But the point is, athletically. But the point is, you give that dude the ball, he finds creases, he makes positive yardage. He had a huge run. On LSU, this was right at the end of the third quarter. You're up 4. It's 24-20. You just taken a lead, and Fouché got the interception in the end zone. So you're up 4. And you have a 3rd and 2, and right around midfield, and Josh Williams got hit in the backfield and got low and kind of wiggled his way through, found a seam, and got you the 2 yards and moved the chains. You ended up scoring on that drive, which is when Jaden went sort of into the left corner of the end zone. They reviewed it, but man, that was huge. So yes, credit the offensive line, credit Josh Williams. How about Armani Goodwin? Armani Goodwin looked really good coming back yesterday as well. Great to see. Jeremy Aldridge asks, is Mike Jones hurt? No, he's just been beaten out. I mean, it's, I think there's something to be said for just understanding what your strengths are and what your role needs to be. And Mike Jones was sort of that overhang linebacker at Clemson and came here because he wanted to play Mike. He wanted to play, middle linebacker. And they tried to work him there last year. He got beaten out. I mean, you had Damone Clark and you had Micah Baskerville. And so Clark leaves, and then it looked like Mike Jones was going to step into that role with this new staff. And I think very quickly they realized Baskerville's better. Baskerville and Penn have been your primary guys, and Perkins has been right there as well. And they're trying to find a way to get Perkins on the field. So Brian Kelly said it after the game. Said, when he was asked about Perkins, said the hard thing is you realize, a really good player is gonna lose playing time, whoever it is. I mean, if you put Perkins on the field, you're taking Penn off the field, or Baskerville off the field, or Ojulari off the field. I mean, you're taking a really good player off the field to have Perkins on there, but you got to. Glenda Blanchard, good morning. Brian Rogers, Quentin Brakebill, Michael Palmer, Joby Thomasy. If you don't think Brian Kelly's a good coach, look at Notre Dame without him for half a year straight dumpster fire. Yeah, I mean, they it's here. Before the season started, there was that Notre Dame guy that made a lot of waves around here because they, he said Kelly wouldn't win a championship or whatever. And I was thinking about it. It's if you want to be, if you want to learn about getting in shape, would you ask someone that's really fit or someone that's overweight? Well, you're gonna ask the person that's really fit. Why So why would if you're curious about if LSU could win a championship, would you ask someone from Notre Dame who hasn't seen who hasn't covered a team that's won a championship in 35 years? I mean, that dude probably hadn't even hit puberty the last time Notre Dame won a championship. I mean, what does he know? Meanwhile, we've watched LSU do it compete for that year in and year out. Like when you're in the SEC, you see what it takes. Like anyway, Marcus Washington, Grant Campbell. Good morning. Do you think LSU's record? What do you think the record will be for the rest of the year? I mean, I'm still going to pick Alabama to beat LSU. I think what we've seen is where LSU, like the one game where LSU got outclassed was when they played a truly elite team. Well, Alabama's a truly elite team like Tennessee is. And I don't know if LSU's there yet, but I'll say this. Alabama has struggled on the road and the last 2 years. And LSU's playing with a ton of confidence. You get 2 weeks to prepare and to get healthy. And boy, that stadium is going to be something. Yeah, Cortland said Bama's closer to Tennessee than Ole Miss is to Bama. That's true. I would agree with that. But boy, LSU feels like a much better team today than they were 2 weeks ago when they played Tennessee. So they got a shot. And I'm going to tell you what, man. Tricky road spot at Arkansas the week after Bama. And I know what A&M is right now. Don't misunderstand me. But it's hard to win on the road in the SEC. We talk about that all the time. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC. So I'll put it to you this way. It would not surprise me if LSU won their 4 remaining games. It would not surprise me if LSU lost any of their 4 remaining games. Not UAB. But I would be surprised. If they lost all 3 of the remaining conference games. I would be surprised. That would be about the only thing that would surprise me at this point. Matt Lusto, Trivia Carter, Survive 623. Morning, Maddie. I have no voice today. Jermaine Green, nice call, Matt. Luke Bennett, good morning. Any chance Jaden comes back next year would be huge. You know, Luke, they talked about that on the CBS broadcast yesterday, about how Jaden, when they met with him, talked about kind of going the Burrow route, playing another year. You know, I'm telling y'all, like I've told y'all, I don't have any insight, only what I've been told about Jaden and what his intention was coming out of high school and coming here for one more year. But if he's changed his mind, if he started to think about coming back for another year, I mean, LSU becomes a contender next year, like a national championship contender next year. I mean, how can you argue to the contrary now with what you've seen right now? You know, you build with this recruiting class, another recruiting class, you hit the portal, your offensive line is going to be veteran and talented. You get Mason Smith back, Harold Perkins a year older. I mean, y'all, they're a legit title contender next year if Jay Daniels comes back. Please smash that like button. 381 watching. I love it on YouTube. 381 on YouTube. If you're new on YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button, and please subscribe up to the channel. 216 on Facebook. This may be, I don't know if this is a morning Scone record. 381 and 216. Over 600 people watching live right now. I love it. Ty Fly, what's up? Glenn Crowdis, am I stepping out of line to think this team is playing so well we can run the table? Well, I kind of just alluded to that a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't pick LSU to run the table, but it wouldn't surprise me if they won any of their remaining games. Jeff McKithen, what's going on? Brant Roban, if the LSU season exceeds expectations from these analysts, with how many dudes we have coming back, wonder what they will predict next season. Yeah. Adam Michaels, in the Bama game, a fan got hit. Also, the school takes a fine when you rush the field. Okay, we're talking about rushing the field again. Matthew Hyde, growth this team has shown every week. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Brian Rogers, Baskerville is a beast. Yeah, Baskerville deserves a ton of credit, man. That's a guy who every year he's been at LSU, he has started the season in a backup role and very quickly asserted himself. I don't know if it's something where he's just not a great practice player, but he gets in the game and makes plays. That certainly is true of some guys. They're just better, Saturday players than they are during the week. And Baskerville may very well be that, but it is impossible to ignore what he has been. He was your second leading tackler a year ago, behind only Damone Clark. And I would need to check right now, but I would venture a guess that through 8 games, Baskerville is your leading tackler right now. Let me check that real quick. Real quick. My apologies, y'all. Real quick, let me check this. I do want to talk about Mekhi Wingo as well, because his stat line yesterday was impressive. And also, I don't know if y'all noticed, but what they did with Mekhi Wingo, he has sort of played that true nose. Baskerville's your leading tackler with 49. Greg Penn is second with 38. Jay Ward, Harold Perkins each with 36. How about Perkins? Even starting the season in a limited role, he's tied for third on the team in tackles. Incredible. So Mekhi Wingo, y'all. Excuse me. Finished the game with 7 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 TFLs, 2 passes defended, and then a quarterback hurry. Mekhi Wingo yesterday, not only was he playing that nose spot, but they ran some defensive sets, and I want to ask Brian Kelly about this, but they ran a few defensive sets where Wingo played left end. So they played Wingo at left end, and then they had Roy and Guillory in the middle, and Perkins at the jack on the right end. I was like, oh man, that's different. I need to go back and rewatch it to see kind of what they were doing situationally and some of that stuff. But watching it live, it was really interesting to see how they kind of manipulated their looks on the defensive front, which is really encouraging, man. Matt House is a smart guy. I mean, you are clearly seeing why he has the reputation he does. Let's see. Tara, T-Mama, Smacka Smith, what's good? Lamar Stevens, Parker Gowdy from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. All right. Bubba Tatum, good morning. Dat Cajun, Jeb Whitley, great whiskey and wine last night. Thanks to Locketcher for hanging out. That was cool to see him, man. What a satisfying win. Take your victory lap. You've been calling it all week. Jaden Daniels for Heisman 2023. Jeb, look, I mean, I don't need to. The team won a game I thought they'd win. I mean, I was wrong last week because I picked Florida to beat LSU. So, strikes and gutters, man. But I did feel good about this one with LSU, and it worked out. Christian, morning, Matt. I thought I heard Gary Danielson say Daniels will return next season. Yeah, so they just sort of talked about that a little bit. They alluded to that possibility. Chase Ellefson, conditioning at halftime, adjustments for the Tigers. Been a whole nother level this year. Kevin Roy, Nicholas Cantrell, Scone Stradamus made a comeback calling the LSU win. Janet, good morning. Still not happy about the officiating. Could have been costly. Janet, I don't know that the officiating in this game was terrible. The biggest problem, LSU had 8 penalties for 71. Ole Miss had 10 for 111. The only one that I really had a problem with, we kind of disagreed on whiskey and wine. The pass interference that they called on B.J. Ojulari on Ole Miss's second touchdown when the tight end was running, I didn't think, there was contact for sure, but I didn't think, it didn't look like, to me anyway, I'll go rewatch it. It didn't look like B.J. grabbed him. It looked like it was just a shoulder check, which was mild. The thing that really bothered me was when Jackson Dart, so LSU's up 24-20. So this was third quarter, LSU's up 24-20, so it's still very much a game. And Ole Miss goes forward on 4th and 1 around midfield. And, no, I guess it was in LSU territory. And Jackson Dart kind of got strung out toward the sideline. Boy, it sure looked like LSU wrapped him up short of the line to gain. And they didn't even review the spot. And I don't know if they would have had a view to overturn it, but that was such a critical play because you're talking about a 4-point game. Now, that was the drive where LSU came up with the Fouché interception in the end zone, which was just massive. But and then LSU would go score and go up 11. They didn't review the Dart fourth down stop, but then they reviewed Jaden's touchdown on that 11-yard run where he kind of went airborne inside the pylon. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, one was close and one was obvious. And I tweeted. I thought maybe that was the officials kind of just kind of poking what said something different, but poking Brian Kelly in the eye for his comments about review this week. And maybe that's what it was, but that was one part that I didn't love. As always, y'all, shout out to Brock. Brought to you by Brock, the Banner's Orthopedic Clinic. After Hours Clinic is open. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. If you check the pinned comment in the chat right there, it's the HUDCO website. If you would, just click that, take a second. Love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. And Crystal Poche at Restored Motions. If you have pain, if you have chronic pain you've been living in, tried everything, book a session with Crystal Poche. Trust me, changed my life. Do the same for you. RestoredMotions.com. All right, Jason McLeod, seen you and T cutting up last night. Carl the Cat, the runs were overrated. Russ got 6 wins now. Russ Mitchell texted me last night. He goes, maybe I was a bit off. Brett DeGrow, Morning Scone. I felt we would win, but not by 25 points. Brandon, Scone picked us yesterday to lose 38-33. Couldn't be happier to be dead wrong. Jay Maggio, bros, if you called it. Talk about Perkins. We have talked a good bit about Perkins. Trivia 9-3. I think 9-3 is very doable. I mean, you're going to be UAB, which puts you at 7. So the question is, can you go 2-1 in your remaining 3 SEC games? You got a home game against Bama where you're going to be a double-digit underdog in that game. And you have road games against Arkansas and A&M where you might be a dog to Arkansas. You should be favored at A&M. Can you go 2-1 in those? Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's going to take a heck of an effort to beat Alabama. But is it possible? Sure. I wouldn't have said that 10 days ago. 8 days ago. Good morning, Matt. Can't get T-Bop's song out of my head. Donovan Thibodeau, Morning Scone. How many people out there had LSU Bama tied for first in the West going into the bye week with each team having a loss to Tennessee? I had LSU 6-2 at this point. But I had Florida and Florida State reversed. I had LSU beating Florida State and losing to Florida at Florida. So I would have had LSU at not 4-1 in the league, but 3-2 in the league. But I had them at 6-2, so I'm not surprised at the record where it is. I think the real question is, the way that I had kind of picked it before the season was, you beat UAB, you lose to Bama. Can you split A&M and Arkansas? If you do that and you end up going 2-2 in November, you finish 8-4, which right now may feel a little disappointing. But we'll see. Jesse Brown, Southern Extreme. What's going on, Larry Garner? One Nardi says 10-2. Feels possible, doesn't it? Jonathan Martin. I mean, you gotta beat Bama, but Jonathan Martin, Morning Scone. Best thing was Dart getting the 4th and 1 because when Fouché got the interception, it was a huge momentum shift. But Jonathan, if they had stopped him on 4th and 1, that would have been a huge momentum shift. So I disagree with you there, man. Like, that you were getting it either. You were getting that momentum either way with the stop. Let's see. Eric Wildrider, more Matt. Josh Williams really coming into his own. Won't show up on the stat sheet. Dude always falls forward. It shows up on the stat sheet. Mac Daddy Donk next year. Kiffin's press conference sounded like a tiger party outside the door. Yeah, the visitor locker room and ready room in there is just so tiny, and it's right outside that portal that goes to the south east. Lamar Stevens, is LSU's secret power making the other team think everything is sweet on offense before halftime, so they adjust for the second half? I mean, the adjustment came before halftime, but they were dominant in the second half for sure. I mean, I wish we didn't have to see this, but I even tweeted it during the game when Ole Miss went up. I was like, I think I said something like, it's almost comical at this point. LSU down double digits, to a P5 opponent in the first half. It's like, this is just a very comfortable, familiar situation for LSU, and it was. I mean, they're just very familiar with being there because they've been there in every game. So there isn't going to be any panic because they've already overcome that to win a handful of times. I mean, they did it against State, against Auburn, against Florida, now against Ole Miss. So I wish it didn't have to be that way, but I keep using the analogy. It's like a horse that's just slow out the gate, that as the race goes along, continues building speed, and then is the fastest horse in the race, down the stretch. Wes Bolich, Dart is going to need a lot of icy hot after yesterday. He did get hit a ton. So did Jaden Daniels, by the way. I think the week off is going to help everybody. I mean, the week off, you should be getting Garrett Dellinger back for Bama. You get Armani Goodwin some more rest. John Emery tweaked a knee yesterday, which is why he didn't play. You let Jack Besh's back heal. You might get Major Burns back. We'll see about that for Bama. So the open date comes at a really good time for that stretch run. Brady Smith, morning Matt, needed that game yesterday to cheer me up after watching your video about the Saints on Friday. Reality's starting to set in. Let's see. Y'all smash that like button on YouTube, subscribe up to the channel, Facebook, please like the page, share the post. If you're new, remember, I'll stay here for as long as y'all keep asking questions, so just be patient with me. Let me get through everything. Blaine Smith, as Daniel surges up. I was asking about Daniels. That's the other side of it, right? So if Daniels keeps playing well throughout November and becomes a more appealing draft prospect, does that push him to the draft? Maybe. So that's kind of the catch-22, right? You want him to play really well because it means LSU's doing well, but that's also going to help elevate his draft stock, and so maybe you don't have him back next year. So someone said if Richie Mercer said if Daniels comes back, does it affect Walker Howard? Not at all. I mean, I'm completely confident in saying that Walker is going to be at LSU and is content to wait his turn. So, I mean, I know he wants to play, and he's going to get his opportunity, and he's going to be great when it comes, but he's okay waiting. Brant Roban, living around Tennessee fans, didn't take long from being irrelevant for 20 years to being so cocky, saying they'll easily put up 50 against Georgia. I don't think they're going to put up 50 against Georgia. If LSU beats Bama, does Daniels get mentioned as a Heisman contender? No, already having 2 losses, and look, I mean, and it's Samuel. It's not to say he's not one of the best, but players or is playing like it, but Heisman voters are going to look at stat compilers or best player, best team. And LSU already with 2 losses is going to be too far out of contention. Now, if they beat Bama and he puts up huge numbers, then puts up huge numbers against UAB, you go down that stretch run. The problem is the only way, I'll put it to you this way. If LSU beats Bama, I guess, look, mathematically, if LSU wins out, they go to Atlanta. So your opportunity for that, whoever asked the question, sorry, it scrolled off, is if LSU wins out, goes to the SEC championship game and beats either Tennessee or Georgia, right? And you finish 10-2, then 11-2 SEC champion, and Daniels really carries the day. If he rushes for 1,000 yards this season and ends up throwing for 3,000 yards and 20 plus touchdowns, he could get in that conversation. It feels like a really, my point is the Bama game alone won't do it. It would have to be a pretty magnificent finish. Like they'd have to run the table and go to Atlanta and basically ride him to it. Adam Keene, where do you think we'll be ranked? Good question, Adam. I was thinking about that last night. it's not just because you beat a top 10 team, it's the manner in which you beat a top 10 team. And LSU was right on the fringe. They were like the next one out of receiving votes last week. LSU should be in the middle teens. I mean, they should be somewhere in that 15 range. I think they will take a massive leap forward because putting together those performances back to back against Florida and Ole Miss, and with voters having the benefit of looking at the Tennessee game now, going, well, we know Tennessee's really good. So the fact that they beat LSU the way they did is just indicative of Tennessee being really good. And you could also look and say LSU is just markedly better than they were when the season started. So if you look at the rankings right now, like LSU should be the highest ranked 2-loss team. So for example, Utah this week was 15th at 5-2. I think it is Kentucky is 19th at 5-2. I think it's very plausible that, look, Texas lost, they were ranked 20th, they probably drop out. Mississippi State lost, they were 5-2, they drop out. So I think it's very plausible that you see LSU go up to 15, somewhere in that range. I think they should be somewhere in the middle teens. I would be surprised if there's a 2 in front of there. Like if they're in the 20s, I would be very surprised. They should be somewhere in the 15 range. Bob Poole, Matt House is outstanding, making outstanding adjustments, reminds me of Aranda. And the creative looks up front, it's true. Fred Schott, Craig, Olivier, good morning. Blake DeVilliers, what about the 15-yard penalty against Perkins? Yeah, Blake, that one, look, they did call unsportsmanlike and roughing penalties both ways. The Harold Perkins 15-yarder was the biggest problem with that. It was because it was that I have is that it was just words. I mean, if you hit somebody after the whistle, we know the flag's coming. But if it's just words, and especially in that situation, man, that was that came at you were up 31-20, and even though you felt like you had it in hand, that was a 3rd and 10. It looked like you had got 3 and out. Like they threw an incomplete pass on first down where he had a deep receiver open deep and missed him. Micah Baskerville almost got the interception on 2nd down on the flat where he just kind of overran it. The 3rd down was when Wingo got the pressure and it was incomplete, and then Perkins got the unsportsmanlike conduct. So like you would just score, you got the interception, touchdown, and it looked like you'd forced a 3 and out. That was going to do it. Keep in mind, there's about 12 minutes to go in that game. And Ole Miss could score quickly. So even though you're up 11 at that point, you're still going, man, this could go sideways if you don't lock in. But they ended up forcing the punt on that drive. So anyway, but I'm with you on that. I was not okay with the unsportsmanlike penalty. 479 on YouTube. That's phenomenal. Please smash that like button if you're new. Please subscribe up to the channel. And if you'll allow me 30 seconds for this gratuitous plug, I would really appreciate it. Here we go. Someone you know, Scone and Terrio. All you need is Hudco. Call Hudco Roofing. 364-1007. We got Hudco Roofing 364-1007. We're pinned right there in the chat as well. How aggravating is it when T-Bob is constantly interrupting you on Whiskey and Wine? Look, there's a co-host scenario is a dance, right? I mean, it's a dance. Someone leads, someone follows the lead. It's just, I mean, you have to be able to work 2 as 1, and sometimes you step on people's toes. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes it's almost comical to me now. Like, but if I have a point that I'm trying to make in that moment, then I'll be like, hold on, let me finish my point. And he's usually good about it if I say that. Sorry, hang on one second. Drew's back next week. I'll be back in 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Body clock's a weird thing, man. Anybody else like that? Like, dude, my wife could sleep all day. Like, if she didn't have to get up, she could sleep all day. Like, Drew's asleep right now still. Dude, my eyes popped open at like 6:50. I was just up. I mean, laid in bed, maybe caught another hour somewhere around there, but I was like, I'm just up. All right, let's see. Chad Fontenot, morning Scone. Predicted the score 42-24 real close. Chet, have you predicted that score for every game? No, you were close. Derek Abshire, good morning. Jaden still constantly looking to run instead of settling. You need to stop, bro. Derek, you need to stop. That's like Jaden's runs yesterday, many of them were design runs, and Brian Kelly even said it after the game. What has changed the offense is when they have gone to designed runs for Jaden Daniels, because it's making defenses respect his running ability and creating more favorable matchups. Like, that's Derek. That's a terrible take, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. Like, nobody needs to be contentious here, but that's a terrible take right now. Like, you put up 45 points in Ole Miss. Jaden ran it for 121. He was your leading rusher with 121 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He's your leading rusher. He set your school record for rushing touchdowns in the season. And he was 21 of 28 for 248, 2 scores. He accounted for 6 touchdowns last week, 5 touchdowns yesterday. Brother, if you have anything negative to say about Jaden Daniels right now, you're just missing the mark, bro. Like, you just got to take a walk. At this point, that is a terrible, terrible take. I mean, I could hear that early in the season when he wasn't trusting the receivers, was maybe just quick to tuck and run. Like, they are calling design plays for Jaden Daniels now. And again, Brian Kelly said in the postgame yesterday that has fundamentally changed the offense, calling design runs for him. So, bro, that's what this offense is right now, and you are operating at max efficiency. So, dude, if you got a problem with anything they're doing offensively right now, that's just a bad take right now. God, that's a bad take. Trivia, Matt was super trolling last night. I was trolling hard on Twitter. Troy Fuselier, what's going on? Love T-Bob, but he made me want to rip my ears off last night with the Ole Miss song. Yes, me too. Tyler Collins, we still going 8-4. 8-4 right now, Tyler, would probably feel like a bit of a disappointment, because that means you would go 1-2 in your final 3 SEC games. You'd beat UAB and then just get one more. Like, so yeah, I mean, I think you'd like to be at least 9-3. You'd beat UAB, even if you lost to Bama. You'd like to beat Arkansas and A&M. Garrett Fletcher, what are your thoughts on the Bama game? Yeah, I think the one thing that I think LSU will be able to move the ball on Bama. I don't think this is going to be one of those 10-0 type games. The one thing that really concerns me is the thing that concerned me with the Tennessee game, which is the LSU's biggest weakness right now, certainly on the defensive side, is on the outside, is that cornerback. They struggled with Jonathan Mingo and Malik Heath yesterday, and those are not great receivers. Obviously, Brew McCoy, Jalen Hyatt had a day with Tennessee. LSU's not really good at defending elite receiving talent. Now, Bama's receivers aren't playing at the level that you've seen with Devontae Smith and some of those guys in the past, but they got dudes, and their dudes are better than your corners. So that's what worries me. So you have a really tough decision to make. Do you commit numbers to the back end? If you do, Jahmyr Gibbs is a problem, and Bryce Young can beat you with his feet also. If you commit to the box to try to limit Gibbs' running the ball, and contain Bryce Young, then you leave your secondary vulnerable, and you have to have those corners win matchups, and I don't think they can. So that's my concern. I think you probably, if you win that game, you've got to win a really high scoring game. Like, I don't think you're winning that game in the 20s. You know what I mean? So that would be my concern. Uncle Houdat, Matt, I took LSU minus 15 yesterday, listening to Marcus Spears, and I won. Marcus Spears said LSU about 50. Stuart Angers, good morning from New Mexico. John Boudreaux, good morning. SEC's back to normal. Mississippi schools and A&M are bad. LSU's top tier again. Feels like it, right? Balance of power. Derek Clark, do you think the coaching staff will keep 40 on the field? Yeah, it's hard not to at this point. Kyle Milliken, Harold Perkins is a freshman, thinking what it'll be in 2 years. Where's the guy who smugly said LSU would go 4-8? That's Russ Mitchell. He was on this week and kind of even said, I'm still feeling pretty good. Even after the Florida win, he texted me last night and was like, yeah, maybe I missed the mark. It'll be fun this week. Good morning from somewhere in Indiana. Great win yesterday. Brian Penn, what's going on, man? Cliff Nelson, good morning. Telly Rock, how much you... Oh, no. Golly, there's just a million comments. My apologies, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I just missed a bunch of comments. It kind of scrolled down. I may just have to scroll to the bottom and go work my way back up. Apologies for that on YouTube. Joe Freitas, I love how wrong Russ has been. Aaron Everett. Derek Maness, how does Will Campbell handle Will Anderson? Yeah, that's a good question and a fair question. I think if you're LSU, you have to intentionally try to give him some help. If it's a back chipping, if it's giving tight end help, if it's running plays to the opposite side, you can neutralize a pass rusher by the way you call plays. We've seen it before when LSU's had great pass rushers. The really tough scenario will be if LSU falls far behind. Like, it would be the Tennessee scenario. You fall really far behind, you have to throw, they know you have to throw, and then it's just go get them. And when it's just like jailbreak blitzes, that just isn't going to go well. Renee Marks, what's up? David Woodard, what's going on? Aaron Everett, Craig Olivier, thanks for saying my last name correctly. For sure. Garrett Woods, better question, how Emory Jones will handle Will Anderson. Yeah, so Will Anderson lines up on the left side of the... I'll tell you honestly, I don't know if I've watched enough, like, intently of Bama to know if they ever switch sides. But if he's lined up on the left side of the defensive front, he would be against Emory Jones, would be your right tackle. You know, the same thing would be true. Yeah, Terrio left after saying hi last night. He didn't stay. He was just popping to say hello. Brant Roban, curious, is T-Bob a realistic fan? Yeah. He was really nervous about the game yesterday. I wasn't. Nick Ori, do you love the early morning quiet coffee time? Yeah, sure. Good either way. Kip Kippers, no Saints today to ruin my mood from last night's LSU win. True. Moon Caves, Denver Houdat, big fan of your content. Appreciate your blunt, candid take on all things Saints, Pels, and LSU. Thank you, Moon. Appreciate you for watching, man. Very kind of you. Joe Sabatini, trending and seeing a lot of improvement all around. More kids coming in with these coaches. Very hopeful. Yeah, look, how big was yesterday for recruiting, too? You know, because of the time of the game, a lot of guys were able to get on campus early, and then because you were finished early, the coaching staff had time to spend with recruits after the game. So yes, absolutely, big day yesterday for that. Taylor Zachary, who has better receivers, Bama or Tennessee? I'd say Tennessee. Ryan Amanda Guidry, Michael Arthur, I'm worried about Jane Daniels taking big hits. He looks thin, but an impressive athlete. He took some big ones yesterday. We talked about it I said that last night on Scone and Tea, or on Whiskey and Wine, was he took some big shots yesterday, but I mean, it's part of the game. It's a physical game. If you're going to run your quarterback, he's going to take some hits. So hope you keep him upright, man. Benjamin Gorgas? Is Kelly meeting your expectations or surpassing them? Right now, Benjamin, I would say meeting them. I had this team 6-2 right now. I did, but I mentioned earlier what I had flipped was I had them beating Florida State and losing at Florida. So I had those flipped. But I had them 6-2 right now. But honestly, I would trade the season opening loss to Florida State for the win at Florida. I'd rather the SEC win on the road in Gainesville than the season opening win against Florida State, because we can look and we can all objectively say, like, this is not even like an opinion. We can objectively say the team that LSU was week 1 against Florida State to now it's night and day. Some of the issues still persist, right? You still have special teams issues that have persisted. And you got some issues in the back end of your defense. But think about, remember the opening drive of the season? First play of the season. Jaden Daniels tucked it left end 25 yards. They hit him out of bounds, got another 15. The second play, they went into the end zone for Kayshon's, where he wrestled for the ball, got away from him. They end up getting the ball with a goal-to-go situation, and your center, Garrett Dellinger, snapped the ball 15 yards over Jaden's head. You end up kicking a field goal. My point is, like, how different is that scenario knowing what you know now with Charles Turner at center, as good a runner as Josh Williams has been in short yardage situations, Jaden Daniels' running ability around the goal line. See what I mean? Like, play that game today, you probably have a very different result. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can objectively look at that season opener and say, yeah, they lost that game, but look at how different they are now. It's what someone texted me on my text line last night, and I said this to him. It's why you want an expanded playoff. I'm not telling you this LSU team could win a national championship, but look at how different they are week 1 to now, and what might they be in another month. Like, teams are allowed to improve as the season goes along. Like, that's a thing that's allowable in every sport. But college football is structured to where you're not rewarded for improvement throughout the year. Like, you have to be great from the beginning of the year throughout, or you don't get a chance to play for it. Like, teams can improve. And look at the Pelicans last year. They started 1-13, ended up winning a play-in, and pushed the Suns to a game 7. So, like, you're allowed to improve, man. And this team is, and this is it's like 2001 LSU, where they got better as the season went along, and by the end of that season, man, nobody wanted to play LSU. I'm not saying they could have beaten that 0-1 Miami team, but nobody wanted to play LSU by the end of that season. You know what I mean? So, anyway. Michael Castello, what's good? Jarius Augustus, what's going on? Oh, the Suns was game 6. Danny Braywick, school record for rushing touchdowns and a quarterback. For a quarterback, yes. School record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. Let's see. Dustin Sensat pass from the far hash that was a rope. Said a ton about his arm, vision, and confidence. That's true. He was left hash, threw it to the right sideline. It was an 11-yard gain to, I thought it was Kyron Lacey. It was on 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 at the 3rd and 6 at the Ole Miss 27, and he threw it to the right sideline to Kyron Lacey. Keith H. Good morning, Scone from Rome, Italy. Tigers are happy, but aren't eating people in the Coliseum. Okay. B. Weinman, are the Aggies imploding now? Boy, it sure looks like it. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but Haynes King got hurt, so they put in the freshman Weigert, or however you pronounce his name. Man, I mean, if they're down to their 3rd quarterback, I don't know if Max Johnson. I think Max Johnson's done for the year. So if they're down to the freshman, Dre Day. Booty is dropping a lot of balls. Did he have a drop yesterday? I didn't chart of Kayshawn drop yesterday. I'll go back and look at it. I didn't chart a drop yesterday. I didn't chart any drops yesterday. I'll see. Let's see. Chevis Fleming, what time do you think Alabama LSU will be on TV? I mean, I'll tell you all this. I was told last night that it's already been confirmed that it's going to be 6 p.m. on ESPN. So it'll be a night game on ESPN. And it makes a lot of sense, right? You have CBS gets first choice. We'll find out for sure on Monday. But CBS gets first choice, and they'll take Georgia, Tennessee at 2:30. ESPN gets the next choice. They'll put LSU Bama night game in Tiger Stadium. So it'll be I would presume a 6 o'clock. That 6 o'clock window on ESPN. So, but I was told last night that LSU has been told already that it'll be a night game in Tiger Stadium. Sun Devil Brian says LSU 38, Bama 35. Go Jaden Daniels. 38-35 sounds like the type of game LSU would have to win. I don't think you're going to see a 24-20 type game, but see. Let's see, Fred, Saber, and Matt. What's your take on what Kelly said about Tennessee game? They didn't lose as bad as the score indicated. Look, he was very, if you go back and listen to it, Utah, he was very thoughtful about the way he responded. And, I mean, the final score is the final score. I mean, the way you lost is how you lost. The point he's making is, I think, a lot of it, just look at the opening kickoff, man. I mean, you muff the opening kickoff and you just spot him 7. I thought a lot of the decisions to go forward on 4th down were chasing early. The decision to pass on the short field goal and give yourself points early. Remember, I mean, Alabama did that. Alabama was down 14 to Tennessee, and they kicked a field goal when they got close and stalled out. I think that's what he's saying. Like, you had chances in that game. You weren't just so physically overmatched that you couldn't compete. I think if they had to play that game all over again, Harold Perkins would be on the field. If they just protected the football better, I think some of those scenarios go a little differently. So I said it this way, Fred. If LSU plays Tennessee 10 times, you get that result, the 40-13, whatever. I don't remember what the final was now. It doesn't even matter. But 40-13, was that it? I think that was the final. 40-13. I think you get that 40-13 result once. I'm not saying LSU wins a majority. I think Tennessee would still win a majority of the games. But remember, the line in that game was 2. Now we're learning more about Tennessee and how good they can be. But I think their defense is susceptible to giving up points in big plays. They're vulnerable. Bama put up 49 on them in Neyland. So I think I understand what he's saying. There's times where a team is just so much physically superior to you that you can't compete. You'll never be able to compete. I don't get the sense with Tennessee. Tennessee's better. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're better. They deserve to win. They'd win a majority of the time. Someone at Air Tech said, what did Tennessee do? They beat Tennessee Martin. So they had, lucky for them, they had a breather, man. They had a breather after the Bama game. Now they play Kentucky and then Georgia. So, as long as they don't, wet the bed against Kentucky, they'll set up a huge game against Georgia. Jacob Blash, we start too slow to beat elite teams. Jacob, I agree with you. That's right now is a huge problem that they've been able to overcome. But again, to your point, they weren't able to overcome it against Tennessee. I don't think they'd be able to overcome it against Bama either, if they get down 14 to Bama. Dre said Bama is beatable. Look, Bama lost at Tennessee. They really struggled at Texas this year. They struggled at Arkansas. Now, in fairness, Bryce Young left that game. But boy, if KJ Williams didn't get injured, that one could have gotten way dicier than it did. Remember, Arkansas got within a 2-point conversion of Bama in the second half of that game. And KJ Williams got hurt, and Milroe ripped off the 70-yarder, then Jahmyr Gibbs ripped off 2 70-yarders. They're that talented. I mean, he can pop. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing Bama. I'm just saying they have struggled at times on the road. And a year ago, they lost at A&M. People forget they could have lost at Florida. I mean, I think Florida had a 2-point conversion to tie that game. And then Auburn last year. I mean, Auburn wins that game. We've talked about it a bunch, but if you go back and look at the end game scenario, Tank Bigsby had a first down. If he goes down in bounds, Auburn's taking a knee and run out the clock. But he went out of bounds, basically gave Bama a timeout, and that was your game. That allowed Bama an opportunity to go kick a field goal and send it to overtime. So yes, Bama has struggled on the road. That's a legit thing, which we'll talk about for 2 weeks now. Jonathan Young. Sosa B. Nuss and Howard would get knocked on their fannies all night. Just 2 slow white guys. Come on, man. Marcus Como, people bringing up Jaden's eligibility next season. He's improving. Isn't he ready for the league? Does he come back next season? Yeah, Marcus, I think it's going to be interesting, man. That a couple people have already asked that today. By the way, it's awesome, man. 552 watching on YouTube. We're at 84 on Facebook. It's over 600 people watching, which is awesome. If you're on Facebook, please like the Matt and Scone page, share the post. YouTube, if you would, smash that like button. 254 likes. If you'd smash that like button and subscribe up to the channel. If you haven't done so yet, we'd appreciate it. As always, shout out to Brock, Hudco, and Restored Motions. Brock After Hours Clinic's open today. Hudco Roofing is pinned in the chat. Love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Take 30 seconds. Click the link, fill out the form. And Restored Motions, if you've got pain, Girl Crystal Poche will help you come through at restoredmotions.com. So the question was about Jaden. And I'll reiterate again, because I know there's probably a lot of new people today. When LSU signed Jaden Daniels, what I was told then was Scooter Rushing said Kayshawn dropped 2 or 3. No, he didn't. Like, I'll go through, I'll chart the whole game. I mean, I'll go through it again, but he didn't drop 2 or 3. What I was told about Jaden when he came to LSU was when he came out of high school, he was a top 30 national player. And his intention was to be 3 and to the league. I mean, that's how it was with guys like Fournette. Remember, better comp is Malachi Dupree. Malachi Dupree came in with Fournette and Jamal Adams, and all those guys were just in their head. They were 3 and done. Now, Fournette and Jamal were ready. Malachi wasn't. Malachi should have come back. Jaden was going to be 3 and out. He had a great freshman year. His sophomore year was COVID. So remember, the Pac-12 only played a handful of games. And then last year, Arizona State was a dumpster fire. You see, I mean, they fired Herm Edwards now. They had assistants like giving out game plans. It was a disaster. So he left Arizona State, thought about going pro, decided to play another season and transfer here. But the idea was this was going to be it, because he wanted to be in the league already. And then obviously had a little bit of a slow start. So the real question becomes, all right, if you're Jaden Daniels, do you play well enough down the stretch to elevate your draft stock to where it makes sense to go now? Or do you do what Gary Danielson mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, which is think of it kind of as the Burrow route. Like Burrow had his 2018 season, which was kind of a feeling out period, and then boom, he went exponential in 2019. I'm not trying to say Jaden Daniels is going to have a 2019 like Joe Burrow. Please don't miss it. Like that's literally the greatest season in college football history. I'm not saying that, but could he come back for another year and make himself a first-round pick? That's plausible, right? I mean, if you put together a second half of this season like he's started to do and carries that into a full season like that in 2023, yeah, I mean, for sure. And Jaden Daniels is a young guy, too, even though he's a senior. Because he did not take a red shirt. He's 21. He's only 21 years old. I mean, Burrow, when he left here, was pushing 24. I think Burrow was 23 when he graduated from LSU. Daniels is 21. So he'll be 22 in December. So, yeah, young guy, dude. Like it would make sense if he wanted to. But really, I think a big part of it is just how does he play over the next month. If he plays so well over the next month, that he just elevates his draft stock, then it would just, you would get it. He would go to the combine, run really well, and and get drafted. So. Let's see. Joshua Simino for the JD haters. If you could have Hooker as your quarterback, you'd take him. Jaden is becoming that type of quarterback. May not rise to Hooker's level. He's heading in that direction. Hendon Hooker's emergence has been massively impressive. Remember, he didn't start the season last year for Tennessee. It was Joe Milton. Then they made the switch to Hooker, and he has not looked back. He's been awesome. Let's see. Scooter having Dellinger back for Bama is going to help out. We beat Arkansas and A&M after beating down Mississippi teams in Florida. Back to our old ways. Murder Giraffe, T-Bob's parlay was a total miss. Thanks, T-Bob. Yeah, we bet with T-Bob. Dude, listen, I'm telling y'all, seriously, if you want to sports bet, I'm telling you, like, especially today, listen to Jimmy Ott's Football Sunday show, starting around 11:15 and Central, and for the remainder of the hour, all it is like professional handicappers giving their best bet. For the season, they're 30 cumulatively. Like if you would bet all of them, all their picks all season, they are 30 games over 500 for the season. It's professional bettors giving you their best picks. Like that's all I've done is I'm just betting and I'm winning. I haven't had a losing weekend yet. A few weeks ago they were 13-0. Like, I mean, that never happens, but anyway. So like tune into Jimmy Ott's Football Sunday at like 11:15, and from there to the end of the hour, it's just professional handicappers giving their best bet of the week. So do that. If you want to bet the NFL today and win, do that. Yeah, like Jason H said, T-Bob yelling the F Ole Miss song was starting to get to it. It was because it was annoying. It's like every time I talked and was trying to talk, he'd do it. And even when I was doing like the big no-no is like sponsor reads, right? When I'm talking about our sponsors, then he's over there doing the song. Like that was a no-no. Like, bro, just shut up and let me do the read, But it's all right. He was fired up. That's the point of the show. The point of Whiskey and Wine is that there is no structure. There are no formatics. There is, you know what I mean? It's just, it's two guys sitting at the bar having a cigar, drinking, smoking. So like, it's all good, man. Like there's no, like I don't even think about it. But to what you're alluding to, it was really just that. Yeah. All right. So the thing about Kayshawn, so Kayshawn yesterday, let's see. All right, let me see real quick. I will go through every one of his targets right now. Kayshawn finished your leading receiver, by the way. He had 4 catches on the day for, I think, 43 yards. Let's see, Kayshawn was... Kayshawn was 4 for 43. He was your leading receiver on the day. And he was targeted 7 times. So, let's see. So, 1 target was on the first possession, with the one into the end zone, and that was an overthrow. It was not a drop. It was an overthrow by Jaden. On the second possession, first down, they threw a screen to Kayshawn, and Jaden overthrew the screen, or actually underthrew the screen, but he missed him. That was not a drop; it was a miss. So there's 2 of your incompletions. There's one more incomplete. So he definitely didn't have 3 drops because that's 2 targets that were not complete, that were not drops. Let's see, Booty for 8 yards. 3rd and 4. He converted. Went through the screen. Caught that one. So the other target. The other target was includes LSU's first possession of the second half. They got a first down, a 5-yard run on a second down. They threw it to Kayshawn. I don't remember the play, but that would be the only one that could potentially be a drop. I'll go back and look at it. It would have been LSU's first drive of the third quarter, the fourth play of the possession. It was a Kayshawn incompletion, and I don't know if that was a drop. If that was, and I didn't chart it as a drop. I'm not saying it wasn't. I might have just missed or just not charted it, but that would have been the only one that you could conceivably say was a drop. But he definitely did not have 2 or 3 drops. There were only 3 incompletions. One of them was the overthrow in the end zone. One was the wide throw on the screen, and then whatever that play was to start the third quarter. So he most definitely did not have 2 or 3 drops. I'll go back and look at that first pass of the incompletion on the first drive of the third quarter and see. Larry Connor, Matt, do you think LSU as a whole on offense is playing better than earlier? To me, all levels, the offense is playing better. I mean, absolutely they are. That's not even debatable. But Brian Kelly even told you yesterday in the postgame, a big part of it is the designed runs for Jaden Daniels. It's not him scrambling. These are like they're calling designed draws and designed quarterback runs, and they're putting RPOs in where he has the run pass option. I mean, it's making a difference. It's making the defense have to respect more of what the offense is doing. Ole Miss defense played under the radar with sports media. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Like, they weren't as good as people thought they were because of who they played. I mean, that's basically what I've been saying for 2 weeks. Richie B, Texas A&M's out there murdering their own quarterbacks. That freshman needs to transfer before he gets injured. Let's see, Jaden Daniels needs to work on the deep ball accuracy. I question arm strength. That first touchdown was underground, and I could tell he threw his hips into it. A little concerned with it. No, the arm strength's not a problem. Accuracy, I'll give you. Deep ball accuracy. But I'll tell you the other thing, too, is I think part of it, and coaches will always tell you this, on a deep ball like that, you'd rather underthrow it than overthrow it. You hear it all the time. Like, I'll give you the perfect example. After LSU scored its first touchdown, which was the 34-yarder to Jure, when, by the way, it was underthrown, Jure came back to the ball. He had the defenders beaten so badly, but he came back to the ball, caught it, and went into the end zone. Again, if you overthrow that, the ball's out of bounds. So because he underthrew it, he gave his receiver a chance. It's 17-10. Ole Miss's next possession, they didn't complete pass on first down. Second down, they took the deep shot to Mingo, and Mingo was open. I mean, streaking down the middle of the field. Jackson Dart overthrew him. So that's the difference. Like, Jaden underthrew his, gave Jure a chance to come back and make the play. Jackson Dart overthrew his incomplete pass. So I'm not disagreeing with you on deep ball accuracy. But I would rather, look at what happened when he underthrew the ball. Jure's touchdown on the first possession, the pass interference when Brian Thomas was open, but he had to come back to the ball and the defender got a PI. So I get you, but I'd rather him underthrow it than overthrow it. Sean O'Bannon, does this game say more about LSU clicking later in the season or more about Ole Miss hadn't played anybody until now? Both, but what I would tell you is the hat tip to LSU is Ole Miss's offense is very good. Like, Lane Kiffin is a creative play caller, and they have good running backs, and Mingo's a good receiver. Malik Heath played very well, and Dart's a good player. They have good players. And for LSU to shut them out in the second half is a huge hat tip to LSU. I don't think there's many teams that are going to shut out Ole Miss in the second half for a half of football. Matt Lusto, would the SEC office do anything about O-lineman who instigated Perkins by pushing his head into the ground to get up? Matt, they may, they could send a letter of reprimand, but as far as a retroactive punishment or something like that, no. DA, Matt, the stat you brought up a couple times this week, the scoring droughts. Ole Miss didn't score since late in the second quarter. We shut out a good offense. I'm very impressed with this team. Let's see. 40 yards is his limit. Bro, y'all are high if you think Jade Daniels can only throw a football 40 yards. Like, I can throw a football 40 yards. If you think he can only throw the ball 40 yards, you're either stupid or high. I mean, and I don't think you're stupid. I shouldn't say that because then people get offended when I say that. If you honestly think an SEC quarterback can only throw a football 40 yards in the air, that's really dumb. I mean, like high school quarterbacks throw the ball farther than 40 yards. Holy moly. That's almost... And to say it so definitively, 40 yards is definitely his absolute limit. That's just one of the... Oh my God, that's one of the stupidest things. Bro, high school kids throw the ball 50 yards. Holy moly. This dude's on the sauce this morning. Jeff Crow, will there be issue keeping Coach David next year? Coach David. Coach David. Brad Davis, the offensive line? That's another thing too, by the way. All the people who were crapping on Brad Davis a few weeks ago. Where are y'all today? Mason Taylor starting to play with confidence. Beautiful play that they ran on the first play of possession. After the first punt of the game, they ran that pass, the tight end screen in the left flat. They ran for 38 yards. Had the touchdown on the 3rd and goal. It was great to see. I mean, Brian Kelly's told you a tight end is going to be part of his offense, and maybe the best part about Taylor, like athletically, I think we knew he could be a pass catcher, but his ability in the run blocking game has been solid, man. Been really impressive. Thank you, Mayhem Santana. 40 is definitely not his limit. This is D1. Danny Etling can get about 60. So, like, people think that Jay Dan's going to throw the ball 40 yards. He can throw it 50 on a knee. That's so stupid. I can't believe I have to entertain that. Let's see. Fouché's pick was huge. Let's see. Jerry Newsom, morning, Matt, do you think if LSU played like they did last night against Tennessee, we could have won the game? I don't know, because the same thing that happened, Jerry, was LSU getting down to Tennessee and then ended up chasing points, and that allowed Tennessee to get really aggressive defensively. So I think you saw what happened when you get down to a really elite team. They weren't able to dig out of that hole. Airtech, has Saban lost his touch? No, the game's just changed. And he's changed with it. It's funny that we're asking if Saban's lost his touch. It's like he loses one game. Has he lost his touch? I mean, they always lose a game. More of his national championship seasons have come with a loss than without a loss. Matt, do you see the Yankees coming back? Nope. Game 2 was their opportunity to get in the series. Game 2 was their opportunity. Losing yesterday at home, no, it's over. It was over after they lost game 2. Trevor Bittner. Matt, could we upset Bama? Sure, you could. Clay, thoughts on LSU Bama opening line, LSU plus 17? I thought it would be about 15. 17, I mean, it's what and what, I guess. Larry Connor, good thing that 4th down quarterback sneak didn't happen by Ole Miss. Didn't cost us. How was the play not reviewed? It wasn't a sneak, remember? I mean, he ran around left end, but I don't know how that 4th down wasn't reviewed. That was the drive that ended with the Fouché interception in the end zone. I'm taking LSU plus 17. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will, and I'm guessing that line will probably drop considering Bama struggles on the road. People forget the final against Bama last year was a 1-score game. I don't think people forget that. LSU had chances to win that game. They held Alabama to single-digit rushing yards. It was incredible. And Ed Ogeron was running off the sideline pumping his fist like they had won the game. It's embarrassing. Oh, yeah, last week down the sideline to Jure. That's true. That was a 54-yarder at Florida on the go route. Let there be the Hudco jingle for the LSU win yesterday. Jonathan, we played it once, but hey, man, who am I to disappoint? If you want the Hudco jingle, here you go.
Someone you know, my Scone and Terrio. All you need is Hudco. Call Hudco Roofing. 364-1007.
Todd Harris said, give Keyshawn Booty big credit for his blocking yesterday. Todd, he's done that all year. But yes, thank you for pointing that out, but he's done it all year. That has been a fan narrative that Keyshawn was disengaged, not interested, all that stuff. And you're starting to see now like how silly that was. It was never that he was disengaged. It's just that he's a quiet dude. He's not a big vocal leader. It's just people say his body language is bad. How the hell you know anything about body language? I mean, like if a camera catches him on one play and he kind of throws his head back or hands out. If you've made up your mind that he's a bad teammate, then you exacerbate that. You could look at every player on the field during the course of a game, maybe doing the same thing, but it's what narrative you've convinced yourself in the mind. Go back and look at scoring plays. Like the first dude to congratulate receivers after touchdowns is always Keyshawn. Last week when Jaden Daniels was scored, first dude to congratulate was Keyshawn. Like he's fine. Ronald Elias wish fans would stay in the fourth quarter. How about that? You blow out a top 10 team, and by the time the game was over, you could shout a cannon through the place. That's just the nature of it. Listen, I'll never criticize fans. Y'all know that. If you want to go, you don't want to go. You want to come early, leave late. Come late, leave early. Don't care. It's your money, your free time. You do with it what you want. I'll never criticize you. But LSU's got a problem. LSU has a problem. They have a 100,000 seat stadium they can't fill and won't fill again. I mean, for consistently, like you had a top 10 opponent and a traditional rival in your building yesterday, and you probably had 20,000 empty seats. That's what it is, man. If Tiger Stadium at 92,000 would have been perfect. Just leave it at 92. But had to keep up with the Joneses, had to get to 100,000, had to keep expanding, had to add the South. I mean, you could add premium seats without adding upper decks and all that sort of stuff, but whatever. Scott Beckham, Kelly's going to be able to get a lot of recruits after the season. Young team with a lot of upside. Ryan Thibodeau. Jaden Daniels under 3, that long TD because the wind was kicking. Oh, under through the touchdown. I think he's also intentionally trying not to overthrow. I mean, we've seen that pretty consistently. I'm not telling you he's a great deep ball passer. Like, I'm not defending that. But, like, if you're telling me like, you don't have the arm strength to get the ball accurately beyond 40 yards, it's just not true. And I was not in the stadium yesterday, so I don't know what the wind was like. So if y'all were there, you can tell me. I'd take your word for it. Matt is Texas 3-4. Texas 3-4 making the bowl game. Let's look at their schedule, y'all. Let's look at A&M's schedule. I mean, to say this off, y'all, I don't really understand the obsession with Texas A&M. I mean, maybe because they get hype and all this stuff, and Jimbo makes a lot of money, but whatever. That's a 3-game losing streak now. Lost at Mississippi State, at Bama, at South Carolina. But look at this, back-to-back road games. So they're home against Ole Miss this coming Saturday. Well, that's a big spot for both those programs, right? A&M's lost 3 straight. So now, what do you do at home against Ole Miss? And meanwhile, Ole Miss was undefeated top 10. Your gauntlet has begun. You lose in Baton Rouge. Now you come home and take on the Aggies at 6:30 on SEC Network. See how that goes. Like, that's fascinating. Then they're home against Florida, at Auburn, which is a dumpster fire, but then so are they. Home against UMass, and then home against LSU. Good luck. Good luck. All right, y'all, let's see. Might be just about done, y'all. Hudco jingle made my day. Fred, can't blame the fans for leaving with the traffic problem. I agree with Look, Fred, I don't blame fans. Again, I get it. Like it's a real legitimate problem that they can't fix. The only thing you could do is contract the size of the stadium. And this is something I've advocated for a long time. There's two things I would do. Number one, I would make the entire stadium chairback. And I'm not saying this is financially feasible or whatever, but like if you made the entire stadium chairback, you would reduce capacity because each seat would take up more space, right? You would reduce capacity and make it more comfortable for everybody. Instead of sitting on a bleacher, you'd be sitting in a chair back. I'd chair back the entire stadium, and I would contract the East Upper. I would take the East Upper deck down and make that into like a platform, bar, restaurant type deal that was like a standing room only, right? You could get access to it. You could see, put TVs, put a bar up there, like, you know, have food options, make it a premium like experience type deal. Kind of like you see like in Houston in center field, they got that party deck up there. Like you see that at a lot of stadiums. Like that's what I would do up there. Above the suites, but it's built on a flat party deck type thing. But I've been told, I've made that suggestion, I've been told it would be too expensive to deconstruct the East Upper. Okay. So you'll just have this big upper deck that's empty. Yeah, I get why people leave. People leave because of traffic. I get it. I've sat in the traffic before, and I would not want to do it ever. Sucks. If they played more day games and the game ended at like yesterday, for example, if people would make the commitment to saying, okay, this is gonna be a day long thing. You know, we get out there, instead of tailgating before the game, we'll hang and do like dinner party after the game while the traffic sort of subsides, then more people might stay, right? But if you have a 2:30 game that ends at 6 and everyone's like, all right, let me get home right away, you're gonna have people flood out of there. You know? Cliff Nelson, lemon cookies and coffee, undefeated. I love it. And Trivia's pissed. Stop bragging about your cookies. It's so good. Those are cookies. So Erica makes desserts, lemon cookies, snickerdoodle bars, all the stuff that we bring to Whiskey and Wine. Cliff always snags a few to have with his coffee on Sundays. Caleb, why does everyone think Jaden Daniels will leave next year? Is that something he said? I've talked about that a bunch, Caleb. I mean, I even today. So just to reiterate, yes, it was always assumed he would be 3 and done to the league. COVID kind of derailed. Great freshman season, COVID, they only played like half a season, derailed everything. And last year, Arizona State was a dumpster fire. So he kicked the tires on the NFL last year. Like he made a decision late to return for another year of college and transferred here, thinking, all right, let me play one more year and then go. So if it's fair to say, if over the next 4 games he continues this trajectory and his draft stock continues to elevate, yeah, I think he'll be gone. Has LSU run a trick play this season? They definitely haven't run a fake on special teams. I mean, they need to just get the basics of special teams down. As far as a trick play, like a double pass or something, not that I remember. All right, y'all. It might be just about done here. Been a good show, man. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. 516 still on YouTube. That's just phenomenal. Thanks again so much for watching. If you would, smash that like button. If you're new, please subscribe up to the Matt Scone channel. We do Morning Scone every single day. Like literally every day, weekends, holidays. This is 1,600. What's today's episode? Whatever it is, 1,000. I don't even know. 1,674. We've done this 1,674 consecutive days. Like literally every day. So if you're new, thanks for finding us. We're here every single day. Just come hang out. Subscribe up to the channel. As always, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. After Hours Clinic is open today. So if you need an orthopedist, you can bypass the ER, go to Brock. Hudco Roofing would love the opportunity to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. We service the entire state of Louisiana. So if you would do me a solid, I'm a partner in Hudco. So it's not just something I endorse. I'm a part owner. If you would just click that link that we have pinned on the homepage, take you 30 seconds to fill out the contact form. We'd love to come give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. And of course, Crystal Poche over at Restored Motions. If you have pain, Crystal will help bring you through it. Just book a session, restoredmotions.com, restoredmotions.com. All right, any more? AirTech Brock Rocks. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Scooter, have a great day. Trivia, will Maggies have a lot of transfers after the season? I think every will. I mean, every school will. It's Scone climbing on roofs. No, I know my role. My role is marketing, promotion, brand awareness, make the phone ring. I do not get on roofs. I do not know anything about roofs. I mean, I know a lot, but as far as like, you don't want me up there doing inspections and all sorts of stuff. That ain't. There are people who are brilliant at that know all that stuff, that know what they're looking for, that are really good at it. Let them do that. Can we get E-Rock to replace T-Bob on Whiskey and Wine? Unlikely. So glad LSU didn't hire Cristobal. Let's see. All right, y'all. I think we're done. Any more before we bounce? Louisiana guys that went to A&M coming home. Maybe. Michael Cook, good morning. Did Terrio get airtime last night on Whiskey and Wine? I saw he was there. When he came in, he just popped down, kind of squatted by us and said, what's up? And they were only there for a few minutes and they left. They were in Lafayette, Houston. So Ryan's son, Houston, is a junior at Dunham and has an offer from UL, a baseball offer from ULL. So they were going for the visit yesterday. So on the way back, they just stopped in at Don Juan and said, hey. Kelly Presley, good morning. Kelly said the cookies are great. So good to meet you and your family yesterday. Thanks for coming out. Clay Elliott, people don't go to the game because of lack of a fan experience. Concessions are a nightmare, bathrooms disgusting, etc. Well, it's true. Ryan Thibodeau, y'all working on a jingle for Game Coin. Not that I know of, man, but I could probably get Toby Tomplay on that. All right, y'all. I think we're just about done. Thanks so much for Daniel Cass. Would you want Eli Ricks back at LSU? Absolutely, I would, but he's not coming back. I can tell you with 100% certainty he's not coming back to LSU. People made a big deal out of that post. That's not the first time he's posted. I mean, I think y'all know we've talked, know the family a little bit, but I think he's very proud of his time at LSU. He loves LSU. He loves a lot of the people here. His family still lives here. But I think he sees in the same way that guys will post pictures in their high school uniform, or if you're in the NFL, you post in the college uniform. I think he was a freshman All-America here. I think he's proud of his time here. He should be. He was a great player. But he would have had his third defensive coordinator in as many seasons, new head coach, just push the eject button on the dumpster fire, which LSU was under Orgeron. It's hard to blame. Same thing with Max Johnson. Same thing with all those guys, man. You get it. The way I say it, and last thing really go, it's like, as a fan, you celebrate when you get a transfer, right? If you're an LSU fan, you're pretty excited about having Jaden Daniels right now. You're pretty excited about having Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché. Those guys have made a big impact in your secondary. But if you're celebrating getting a transfer, then you can't criticize guys that leave, because everybody goes for a different reason. And Reed Rule said hell no to Ricks. He's learned the hard way. You're dead wrong. That dude has had 2 shoulder surgeries and has been trying to get his body back right. He started yesterday because he's finally healthy. That's what you don't get. The shoulder thing wasn't a cop-out. He wanted to keep playing. He physically couldn't play, even though he wanted to. So he's had 2 shoulder on the same shoulder. It's just, bro, that's Reed, that's part of what I get to, man. It's like, fans convince themselves of narratives that just aren't true, bro. It's like, you've convinced yourself, like a lot of people on the internet, that he's a bad dude, he's a quitter, he's this. The dude had 2 shoulder surgeries. He literally wanted to play through it, but it kept, the issue kept recurring. He was playing basically with one arm last year. And so they shut him down. He had the surgeries, and he's had 2. And he's just now to a point where he can play again, which is why he started yesterday. And he'll start in Tiger Stadium in 2 weeks. Anyway. But he's not coming back. I can tell you that with certainty. He's not coming back. Let's see. John said no problem with transfers. Johnson should have transferred after the bowl. He quit. But you have to make sure you have a spot somewhere, because you have a December signing period now. If you're a transfer or you're thinking about transferring, Like, I get it. You need to make sure you have a spot somewhere. That's just the way the rules work. Don't blame the kid for that. It's the way the rules are structured, especially with an early signing period now. And the other part of it is like, y'all, nobody criticizes Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase quit, y'all. Jamar Chase quit. Everybody loves Chase because he was a top 5 pick and he's doing great in the league and all that sort of stuff. He quit. Jamar was going to come back for the COVID year in 2020, and then he quit. But nobody criticizes Jamar, and you shouldn't. He made a decision that was best for him, which I totally get. But like, how selective fans get about who they criticize, who they don't. It's just, it's kind of annoying, man. Like, we live in an era now of sports where like everybody wants loyalty, but only when it works in your favor. And it's just not the way it works anymore. Like, it's a two-way street. Sometimes dudes are going to leave your program, and sometimes you're going to gain players as a result of it. It's just how it works. And you understand, guys are just going to make a decision that's best for them. So, anyway. Nobody can throw a whiskey bottle 50 yards. Scott Illuminate, Matt, you can't throw a football 40 yards. Yeah, I can. I would probably re-tear my labrum, but yeah, I can. No, like legit, I was a pitcher and had a good arm. I mean, and then I tore my shoulder. So, happens. Anyway, David Riley, you guys were great last night. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right, y'all have an awesome day. Appreciate everybody for watching as always. On the way out, YouTube, please subscribe. Please subscribe to the Matt Moscona channel. Smash the like button. Facebook, like the page, share the post. Y'all have a great Sunday. Thank God we don't have to watch the Saints lose today. We'll see you. Peace.